All right, let's try it. We're going to do this one more time. Can we try it again? Can we try it again on the second night of the second game of this two-game mini-series for the Sixers and the Cavs? We get you prepared live from the Xfinity studio. It's the PHLY Sixers pregame show on a Friday night for some Friday night hoops in South Philly with Rich. I'm Devon Bree, producing the president of basketball operations. We thank you for hanging out with us on this Friday. An important game as the Sixers are down 0-2 in the season series, and this being the second again at home in this two-game mini-series, one more in March. So an important one here for the Sixers to try to rebound and steal this win at home. We'll get to the Bet365 picks a little bit later. We are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll talk about the injury report, who's in, who's out, and we'll give you the starters as well. Plus, we got to discuss plenty of things here with how to just win this basketball game overall because, get off to a better start. We'll talk about that one too. But let's begin here with Rich of just simply looking at this thing here and get back to it. So let's restart some things, right, Rich? Let's not mess around. Let's not play around with our food. Let's not mix up some of those words like Joel and Doc Rivers, even though I think Joel did it on purpose.
He did do it on purpose.
Revenge is on the mind for tonight when it comes to basketball revenge, of course. So this one is again, now they are only a half game up on Cleveland.
Big game, man.
Toronto got a win on Wednesday night. Win this basketball game. You're home. We talked about it. You said it when we were previewing this whole series. You get a split. But we didn't like how game one went with the blowout fashion that it was.
No, and I think when we were previewing this 5-game stretch against the teams from 4 to 7 in the Eastern Conference, I said 3-2 is fine. That's still right in front of you. Got that professional win in Orlando, got one in Toronto, got your butts kicked the other night. And look, that was a really bad effort. I think we did a good job of not overreacting to that one, but it now is incumbent on the Sixers to show that it was right to not overreact to that one. Like, you guys got your butts kicked from the second that game started. You made Cleveland look like the team that won 60-plus games last year. Now it's time to respond. You get an injury break because Barlow's back. Garland and Merrill are out for them. Go win this basketball game. And it starts with, I think my lasting takeaway from the game the other night, this is not a sexy thing to talk about, is grab a rebound. Like, grab a rebound and take care of the ball. That first quarter was about as badly as the Sixers have been outplayed in a quarter all year. They were slow to the ball. They were sluggish. I think they'll bounce back to a degree tonight, but let's see it.
8 offensive rebounds, by the way, for the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday night to start off that quarter. The Sixers down 15, I believe, after one. I think it was 15.
And they were
if
lucky
not 15, it was 13. There was no reason for them to be in the game in the way that they did. They fought back. They got it to about 8 or 9, and then the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell in particular with his 20 points in the third quarter, really just got them back into that nice, comfortable lead that they had where it ultimately became a big blowout. But this one, to your point, with the 5-game stretch there of those teams where it's the Sixers, Orlando, Toronto, and Cleveland all bunched up together, you're absolutely right. Over that stretch of 5 games, if you can get 3-2, that's pretty good. It's just a matter of how you got there. You got your butts smacked in that one.
It was bad.
It was really bad. And you want to see a better overall performance. You want to see better overall effort to start this one out where, honestly, they were never in game one. They were just never in it. Even when they got a little bit of a run, Paul George had his stretch there where he was scoring the basketball. This was just simply something that you need better effort. Cleveland gave that effort. And they were missing shots too. They allowed you to stay in it. Outside of what Darius Garland and Evan Mobley were doing early, Donovan Mitchell, again, did not go off until the third quarter, allowing those other guys to really do what they did. So the adjustments that Cleveland made after seeing those two carry things through the first two quarters, going into halftime and seeing whatever coverages that the Sixers had that were were favorable for Donovan Mitchell, he exploited those, and he exploited those to the tune of a starting all-star caliber player like he is to go out there and drop that 20 points. So I need a much better effort in this one. We didn't overreact. We reacted properly to that one. But to your point, we didn't because we know what the Sixers, or we think we know what the Sixers are capable of. So the response here, are we going to get one similar to what we saw in Toronto? Different game, lost in overtime. You should have won it in regulation. However, they came back and they hung 45 in the first quarter, 80 in the first half. I don't see that, but it's just more about the execution and the effort overall that I want to see from the Sixers in the immediate and not waiting until the second quarter where they know they can turn it up and win that frame.
I think when you're looking for effort, the guy that I would point at who brought it in last game was Jabari Walker. So like let's see 8 or 9 Jabari Walkers out on the court in this one. So you mentioned Darius Garland and Evan Mobley in the first half of that game. I thought they were awesome. I thought they were really good. And frankly, if Dominic Barlow guards and Paul George got a little bit of Evan Mobley as well, if they guard him like that again, let's see him do that again, because he has not been as consistent so far this season. You get a break, and that Garland, VJ Edgecombe, and Kelly Oubre they struggled chasing him around screens, but he was awesome. That was like the best game that those guys played as well. So there is a degree of like, let's not overreact to a few of those things. That was a strong game from them. Let's turn to the offensive side of the ball now. A lot of people were talking about the two-man game between Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and Kyle did a nice job on Twitter pointing out the coverages that the Cavs were doing, and the Cavs were aggressive against them. And I think if they are aggressive against Tyrese Maxey, you got to be able to get the ball to Joel quickly. Joel, don't pop, little short roll, then you have an advantage, right? Mm-hmm. And I know Cleveland, they do the benefit of playing Allen and Mobley together is that you always have somebody on the back line who can not only block shots but can move a little bit as well and cover some ground. But if you get Joel the ball in the right spot with a 4-on-3, he should have to make the right play and find a shooter or, take the open shot himself as well. So I'd like to see a crisper offensive setup because, Devon, like the big takeaway from that game, first quarter just didn't play hard enough, and that was bad. But the rest of the game was just Cleveland's offensive execution. They were so much crisper than the Sixers. And that's got to change. Now, some of that you can say that might tie into effort as well, but it wasn't all that. It was all, sure. I thought Cleveland was just sharper in terms of their schemes, being aggressive and top locking Maxey, getting up on the two-man game, and the Sixers kind of just let them run their offense. They were very comfortable. And they have very good players like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. They look comfortable against a lot of people. I don't want to just say that that's the Sixers, but let's see a response, because as we said after the game the other night, Nick Nurse, this is like a playoff series. This is like you lose game one. What type of adjustment do you have for game two? I think we can say from the Toronto, I know that Joel and PG did not play in game one, so that was a different type of loss than this one. Nice bounce back in the first half of that game. But got to see it again, and I think it's a huge difference between if you lose to Cleveland tonight, I don't think you're feeling that great about this stretch. I think you look back at that game in Toronto and say, if we could have only won that game. And also, is Cleveland a bad matchup? Do they have our number? If you win this game tonight, I think you could say we managed a pretty difficult and pretty important stretch of the season nicely. Wasn't perfect, but we managed it nicely. And at the end of the season, if they have 48, 50 wins, you look back and say going 3-2 in that stretch was important. And if they're in that range as well, they might have the tiebreaker on some of these teams as well.
Yep. So to your Joel point, when the ball comes out of Tyrese Maxey's hands for that short roll, quick decision. Don't hold it too long. Either find your teammate somewhere sprayed around the three-point line or a cutter, or make a decision. You've already shown you can put the ball back on the floor, but don't get yourself trapped kind of like you did where you get caught under the basket and long arms, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Now you're making a decision on how am I going to get this shot up? Can I go quick? Can I go fast with the shot close to the rim? Or do I need to do something else? Tyson coming out of nowhere, maybe getting a sneaky block from behind. But
by the way, he's been a big part of how Cleveland has won these two games against the Sixers.
Yes, sir.
I always talk about how the other team, they put the pit bull guard or the long rangey wing on Maxey and they just say, just guard him 94 feet. We don't really care about what you do on offense. I think what made it such a dagger the other night is Tyson was making his threes as well as open shots. But for the most part, his job is just to tire Tyrese Maxey out. He's been one of the better guys in the NBA at that this year. I think Jordan Walsh from Boston also did a pretty good job. I think Shed from Toronto has also done a good job. Again, these guys, not all of them have done good jobs because Tyrese Maxey
averaging 30.
We can see what he's averaging, and we think he has a good chance to make first team All-NBA and be an All-Star and all of that stuff. But I thought he did a good job. So it's also like Tyrese, respond to that, right? Jalen Tyson, good player, plays hard, physical, is aggressive against you, but you've beat physical and aggressive players before. You're one of the better athletes in the league, man, and you're a supremely skilled basketball player as well. So that's another element of the rebound tonight.
And if possible, you mentioned the second quarter, second and third, and the fourth quarter after the first being so terrible. That second quarter, everybody, remember, the Sixers were up in the second quarter, just the second quarter in terms of winning that frame. They had about a 29-22 advantage with about a minute to go. And then that flipped. And close out the quarters much better. Just close them out much better, especially as you know what they do in the third quarter where that's their trouble spot. Close things out and give yourself a chance to separate, cut that lead where it's in single digits instead of it being 13, maybe it's 7 at that point going into halftime and third quarter. Despite the fact that Donovan Mitchell went off for his 20, maybe it looks a little bit different because you're matching that 20 with something else of your own, and you just have to look at it that way. All right, we're going to take our first break. We come back, and when we do, number one, we're going to hear from Kyle Neubeck checking in from the arena with an update on the pregame from what Nick Nurse had to say in the locker room as well. We talk about a better start. That means Tyrese Maxey needs to have a much better game than he had on Wednesday night. We'll get to the injury report. Rich already told you a few things. So who's starting with these guys in and out of the lineup? Who's starting for both teams? We'll talk about it all, plus our pregame picks. When we get back, it's the Sixers, Cavs, round 2. Big game again for your home team, hosting the Cavaliers. We're discussing it right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show.
Guys, what if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi, and what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That is the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense, and that lets you stream the game no matter if the whole family is online, how many devices there are. Xfinity has you taken care of. All of your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part: no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price, it should stay put. So lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
And I have to tell you about our presenting sponsor here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show, and that's our good friends from Bet365, whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. As I say that, you know what I was doing while I was looking down on my phone? I said, let me check and see exactly what's going on with these updates that they have in these profit boosts. Like tonight, 50%. It's the Friday 50. You get a plus 50% super profit boost on any NBA game, including your basketball team hosting Cleveland. So maybe you want to take advantage of that. For the weekend, got some big games in the NFL. The playoffs are still going on. How about this one, Rich and Bree? You got the super boost. That's Bills and Broncos. 1 is enough. What? 1 is enough? Yes. 1 passing yard now at plus 100 at Bet365. They're just giving you money. Huh? So if you're not one of the 90 million users worldwide and you want to be part of the 780,000 that views things there on the app as well, and the early payouts in the NBA and the NHL, breaking news for those new customers: you get $200 in bonus bets when you sign up, win or lose. That's right. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you do sign up, and use those bonus bets on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm going to make sure I do that here when we give our pregame picks here shortly. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. Rich, they're really giving out free money when they offer up plus 100 for 1 yard. 1 yard in that Buffalo Denver game.
Just like the New York Mets giving out free money.
How about that? How about the chain reaction there, right? What is going on?
Well, basketball is going to get more popular next year because there ain't going to be no baseball.
Strike it. Not strike out. Strike it.
Strike it.
Strike it. Dodgers. Damn Dodgers.
Damn Dodgers.
Damn Dodgers. All right, let's get to that Kyle Neubeck. Not damn Kyle Neubeck. It's Kyle Neubeck of the PHLY Sixers podcast. He and Derek are at the arena. Kyle wants to check in, let us know what's going on with a few things there at the arena ahead of Sixers Cavs round 2 as part of this mini series. So let's let you hear. We'll hear for the first time what Kyle had to say from the arena, what the head coach is talking about. Seemed like some things were a little bit surprising as far as what Kenny Atkinson and the Cavs did to Nick Nurse and the Sixers, as he said post-game.
Uh-oh.
I hope that's not the case here today. Here's Kyle Neubeck and the update pregame from the arena.
Hello, Philadelphia. We got some good Sixers news tonight. Dominic Barlow back in the lineup and available as of 90 minutes before tip-off. Had a back contusion, left the game on Wednesday night. Would have been a big loss because the Cavs were already hurting the Sixers with their size and athleticism at center and power forward. As they combat Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley tonight, it sounds like the Sixers prepared to play with and without Barlow, and they're going to hit a lot of different lineup combinations tonight.
Couple ways we can do it. I think we can try to match up with their size. And obviously Jabari's played well. We could throw Bona in there possibly, or we could reverse it on them and see if they can, we could go Paul at the 4 and see what they do to guard that lineup. So probably see a little both.
Some of the talk between the games on Wednesday and Friday night was how the Cavs defended the Sixers in ball screens. Tyrese Maxey got crowded a lot. VJ Edgecombe got crowded a lot when he was on ball. Paul George, same thing. The Sixers are prepared for that tonight, but Nick Nurse's main message for how the Cavs defended them and how they'll react to it tonight is to continue to trust to hit the open man and maybe even make the extra pass if they're going to continue the same coverage.
They'd put 2 on the ball. They'd shade pretty hard from the weak side towards Joel, and sometimes it needs to either go 1-2, Joe to the weak side, or just 1 straight to the weak side, and then the attacking starts again. I think they did do a good job in some of that stuff, and we maybe didn't react to some of it great, but I also, after watching the tape, we had lots of amazing opportunities too.
Will we see any dramatic changes from the Sixers? I would expect no. That's not really been Nick Nurse's MO this year. I would be inclined to try some different stuff out. I know Jared McCain has struggled, but maybe play some 3-guard, shooting heavy lineups, spread the Cavs out, make them defend guys on the perimeter, open things up for Tyrese, Joel, VJ in the middle of the floor. We'll see what happens. Big one tonight in Philadelphia.
Yes, indeed it is. Appreciate Kyle Neubeck joining us for that audio and that video hit there from the arena. The one thing that immediately stands out for me is obviously Dominic Barlow, and number 2, the lineup changes, the combinations in general. We discussed, you mentioned it, and rightfully so, that maybe at that point of the game where things kind of got out of hand, the rebounding issues were there, but you also needed to score the basketball, go small, and maybe change up things with a little bit with the lineup.
Well, it's good to see Dominic Barlow playing. I'm not the only one playing hurt tonight, which is good. Hurt myself playing hoops the other night, everybody. It's okay. I can still podcast. But yeah, that fall seemed bad. I mean, I
said to you, I thought he was going to miss this game. I was wrong. Clearly, I shouldn't be diagnosing people, but yeah.
I mean, Drum, and I didn't even see who the other guy was. Had to carry him off the court. That didn't look great. Hey, maybe it's one of those things you wake up the next morning and it's actually not as bad. That's important. So let me ask you a question. Of the 2 suggestions that Nurse had, the 2 extreme suggestions where you can match up with the size, and I'm going to specifically say Bona as the 4, because he also mentioned Jabari Walker. To me, Jabari Walker is more of a neutral option if you play him and Barlow at the 4 to try and match their size. If you play Bona or PG at the 4, which one of those interests you more in this specific matchup?
I would probably lean more towards Paul George just because I can trust him a little bit more, and he showed himself. Look, the length is there with Evan Mobley, but Paul George held up decently, I thought, against him on Wednesday. And also we've seen this version of the Sixers team play against the Cavaliers before and play much better. That's what we talked about, the effort in the first segment of things that they need to do. So I still live with Paul George, but that doesn't mean situationally that you cannot insert a Dembona. And if it works out, maybe you do give him extended. Maybe it's 8 minutes instead of 5. Maybe it's 10 minutes instead of those 8 because he's playing well and he's helping out. But part of the reason why I do also go with George is Dembona has to rebound. If he's going to be out there and he's going to be clogging up things and be that second big man out there, Richie has to rebound the basketball. At the very least, we know Paul George is going to attack and attack the boards and try to rebound the basketball. And if Bona at least puts a body on somebody, then you have to team board. And you got to get that loose ball rebound that's out there. So to your question, I would lean Paul George.
I think that's clearly the answer. And I think for the reason that Nick Nurse talked about. So how did Cleveland, in his estimation, beat the Sixers? And he said it was with strong shading and helping off the weak side, loading up against Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Well, what's one of the ways that you beat that? Sure, you can beat that a little bit with offensive rebounding and some of the things that a Dembona does. But to me, the way you beat that is with having shooting on that weak side, shooting and skill, guys who can move the ball quickly. I think you'd rather have Paul George on the weak side. If that's Evan Mobley guarding Paul George, all right. If Paul George is in the weak side corner and the Sixers execute the scheme, which Nurse talked about, hitting Embiid on that short roll and then finding PG on the weak side, yeah, I think I would rather do that. And we've seen Bona, like the Bona Embiid lineups are interesting, but they're clunky even before you play the Cavs.
Yeah.
I would not lean that way. I would start at least with Paul George. And you don't have to be too small. Like go Paul George, Quentin Grimes, and then maybe Tyrese and VJ. Let's see that lineup. I think that's one of the Sixers' better lineups, frankly.
What about the usual starting 5 before
play
Kelly Oubre
play
went
Oubre
down?
too? Yeah, for sure. Now
I don't mean starting. I just mean in general. We'll get to the starting lineup shortly. I just mean in general, playing that together.
I like it. I mean, I think the issue with that would be they'll put Mobley on Kelly, and then Kelly's going to have to make him pay. Now Kelly can do that while not necessarily even shooting threes. You can do it by cutting on the weak side, but you do have to have your spacing correct. Yeah, I mean, I would rather see that I think than Bona as well, because Kelly, even when he does have the spacing issues, is a much more reliable ball handler. Can do things now. Sure, he can make his turnovers every once in a while, but you're comparing him to Bona. Yeah, I would go smaller in this game. I would go smaller. That would be my...
Now, the issue, though, is Cleveland can run. Even with their big guys, they can run. So it's not that you have this big-time advantage because Cleveland can run. However, you can get out there and you can do that. And the other thing that I think of when we talk about keeping George, Grimes, or Oubre out there instead of Bona, maybe you do have an opportunity to get Evan Mobley in a little bit of foul trouble because you are quicker. He has to react. Defensive Player of the Year. So listen, you're going to have to really get him because he is a smart, savvy defender. He knows how to use his length, all those things. That being said, hey, man, you use that speed, you get a couple of buckets. Maybe he reacts a little bit differently than he would because now I have to really contest this. I can't just time it the way I thought because you already got me a few times. That changes his method of thinking when it comes to how to attack those smaller players out there on the perimeter. And if they put the ball on the floor and they get to the basket, maybe he's on their backside and he fouls them, just simply hitting them on the head or something ticky-tack, but something small enough. And then if you do get a switch and Joel gets him, that's a 2. Whenever the 2 happens, that's a 2 where Kenny Atkinson is really going to have to think about it and take him off the floor. So that's why I do like the smaller lineup for that reason. Situationally, if you see a moment where a Dembona can help Joel Embiid, fine. I have no problem with it. I've seen some good. We've seen mostly bad, but we've seen good where you understand against this big front court where that could be beneficial. But I lean exactly where we just talked about with those 3.
The thing that the Cavs might say is, okay, fine, you can play Paul George and maybe your offense will be a little bit better. The challenge for him is that Paul George will have to guard Mobley. I will say, lost in that terrible game the other night, I liked a couple of the individual defensive possessions that Paul George had against Mobley. Stopped him a few times, got a couple deflections, and Mobley scored on him a couple times, but I thought he had to earn those. And It's like, if it's a night where he's not on, those are stops. I would try that. And one other thing, too, that stood out from the game the other night, it felt like Joel was a little reluctant to shoot around the rim against Jared Allen. I would like to see him maybe post him up a couple of times and just throw his body into him. Now, obviously, you got to be careful. You don't want to commit a foul. But it felt like on the pick and roll, and he caught the ball on the baseline, if he's just going to get into a vertical contest with Jared Allen, and Jared Allen's in good position, I think Joel is a little bit afraid to shoot around the rim. And I think against Jared Allen, that's probably fair. So let's put your body into him a little bit, use your advantage and be able to take that shot. And also the other element of that is, can you draw a couple fouls on him? Because Jared Allen, that used to be a guy that Joel would draw some fouls on pretty quickly. Back in the Brooklyn days now, he's a much better player than back in the Brooklyn days. But that's another element of it too. So just a lot of things went wrong for the Sixers the other night. There are plenty of other places they can go here. Yeah,
that's why I'm saying go quick. So it's not just the mid post, Rich. If it's at the rim and you get a quick pass there and you have a layup opportunity, no ball fake. Just go up, go quick. If it's going to get blocked, it's going to get blocked. But if you make it, maybe he thinks differently, and on the next play, that's where you get him to leave his feet, and you get that foul call on that particular one. So it's just a game of chess at that point with two smart players there at the center position with Joel and Jared Allen. Jared McCain, minutes. How are you? Are you going back to him? Are you not going to him? Where are you with Jared McCain?
It's hard. It's hard. I think a lot of people pointed out he only played like 8 or 9 last game, something like that.
9, yeah, something.
That felt
he played a little bit longer when it was garbage time.
I'm looking at it right now. McCain played 10 minutes in the game last time. I will say that number's a little low to me for a game that was hopeless from the beginning. Would Jared McCain be in my rotation right now? I don't know, man. Like he really has not earned those minutes so far. I still want Nick Nurse to keep it, as Brett Brown used to call it, keep him alive, which is just keep him engaged and a part of the team, because I do still believe in what Jared McCain can do and be a decent player. But look, man, you have a full roster right now. Trendon Watford is barely part of the rotation in some of these games as well. I don't know. I think he'll probably get, what do you think, a 6 or 7 minute run in the first half, and it's
got to win it.
It's going to be incumbent on him to make some shots and show that he can play in the second half, because we've seen this in some of these games. He'll play in the first half, he won't do a lot, and then it turns into the Grimes, Oubre, VJ, and PG lineup, and
or Watford,
and he gets skipped in the second half. So
yeah. Yep. Okay.
I don't know. I
don't know, but I think he's gonna call his number.
He's gonna call his number,
but he's gonna have a quick hook if it's not working. I do think that. All right, let's get to the Let's get to the starting lineup, because that'll incorporate with the injury report overall. The usual 5. Dominic Barlow, he's good to go. Scary fall. They checked him out. He's good. He's able to play tonight. That is good news. So Kelly Oubre is coming off the bench. He, Quentin Grimes, and Bona, Drummond, McCain, Watford. We'll see who is in that rotation overall. Then we go to Cleveland, where, if you notice, Craig Porter Jr. gets to start tonight, because no Darius Garland, as Rich pointed out a little bit earlier. So that's a change with Mitchell, Tyson, Mobley, and Allen to round out the 5 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. No Darius Garland, no Sam Merrill. Also, you mentioned that at the top of the show. Got a little bit of an advantage there. Now, we've seen Craig Porter cook the Sixers in the past.
A couple years ago.
Yes, he did.
That NBA Cup game.
Yes, he did. That said, he's not Darius Garland. You should take advantage of this opportunity tonight. Well, VJ couldn't handle that. Hopefully he can handle this assignment.
Not a lot of wings in that Cleveland lineup to start, right? You have Evan Mobley, and I'm sure they're going to try and do you think they're going to try and hide Porter on Barlow? Is that how they're going to go about it, or do you think Paul George is going to get the smaller guy against him? I'm curious. I think they'll probably put Mobley on Barlow and have him roam a little bit more. But Paul George should have a matchup advantage. I think VJ Edgecombe should also have a matchup advantage, at least on defense.
Yeah, and I think Tyrese Maxey will try to respond against Tyson tonight. Let's get to the pregame picks presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Did not hit the 25 for both Mitchell and Maxey in game 1 because Tyrese did not have a good game. He did not hit that 25, but Mitchell certainly did. Let's see what Bree has in this one as well, as she goes with Jared Allen double-double. Look at that. Jared Allen with some plus money there. So, Jared Allen double-double, everybody. I went with some more plus money, and that is Tyrese Maxey bounce back. He had 2 3-pointers made in game 1. I think he has 3 tonight. And Evan Mobley over 2.5 steals, blocks combined tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. If you're interested in parlaying those two together or simply adding your own to either one of our selections there, right now you get the Filthy Friday where you get to boost that, super boost it, plus 50% at Bet365 on any NBA game, including your team here in Philadelphia as well. Good luck. Make sure you bet responsibly. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Win, lose, let us know as we get ready to sign off in the chat. Sixers evening up this series. Are they getting back to the W's? We hope so. This will be something much better to talk about post-game here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. So we'll see you 10 minutes after the game goes final tonight. Should be another good one. Hopefully a much better one than we saw on Wednesday. For Derek and Kyle at the arena, Bree and Rich here as well. I'm Devon. Great to see all of you as well. We'll see you post-game. Sixers, Cavs, important game tonight. What's it going to be? We'll be breaking it all down post-game right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Enjoy.
We all silly like the mayor.